and we looked at the vials and we found self-assembling nanotechnology and microchips that self-assembled. And then later, I started incorporating this dark field microscopy into my practice, and I've documented extensive, microchips, micro robots that are now found in everyone.
Self-assembling technology. What does that mean to me? What's that?
So what that means is when we first looked at the vials, then what we saw was like this sea of little blinking robots, and then they actually assemble into literal technologies. So micro and nano robots have been described in pharmaceutical drug delivery systems. And so I found this in many medications, including insulins and all childhood vaccines, as well as the COVID vaccine. And that these robots, they use electric energy, light energy, magnetic energy, ultrasound energy, as well as, our own chemical energy. They hijack electricity from the blood, which we've shown that the electrical conductivity of the blood is decreased by up to 47%. So this is what it looks like. So this is COVID-19 now unvaccinated blood. You see that the cells here are in distress, and these are little micro and nano robots that are in these micellar structures, and they're building this polymer filament that actually contains these robots. And this is part of the technology that other researchers has found the MAC address phenomena in people who are injected, as well as those who had the PCR swab. They are now connected through a media access device, basically information.
Okay, hold on. Slow down. You just said something that just blew my mind. They found a MAC address in these little tiny robots.
No, they found the MAC address emitted from the vaccinated people.
Oh, wow.
And what is emitting the MAC addresses are the microchips and the micro robots in the blood. So right here you see this large polymer and all these robots that are assembling it. So this is part of what is occurring. So you see here, these are nano robots. They're moving and they are assembling these large filaments. And you can actually film this under the dark field microscope. And this stuff is what is creating the rubbery clots in the injected. So I, for example, received the rubbery clots from Richard Hirschman, who's an embalmer. We also looked at blood from vaccine-injured living people and unvaccinated people, and we chemically analyzed them with near-infrared spectroscopy. And what we found was these are polymers. These are polyvinyl alcohol plastics, polyamides, which are things like spider silk. And what you see here is that's a robot right there. And this is a polymer. It's a microchip that's being assembled in unvaccinated blood as we speak. And this thing actually has microcircuitry in it. And so in the human blood, we shouldn't be having these blinking lights in different colors. And so that is part of what I have, found here. This little sphere is part of assembling this polymer filament. And it's basically a crime scene that I've uncovered, which is why I'm part of multiple lawsuits. Here you can see a mesogen, which is basically a chip that is being assembled while the blood is flowing around it. These are nanoparticles. And this is all consistent with the literature, technological literature in nanotechnology. So it's not only that if people are exposed to people who are injected because they are shedding, and the Pfizer document clearly state that if a man who's unvaccinated inhales the air around a vaccinated woman, that man can transfer the vaccine to another unvaccinated woman. So this is similar to the idea of fair hormones, of little tiny particles that float in the air, and that nanoparticles are like a gas. They can enter our skin, they can come through our respiratory tract, and that's how people can get contaminated. And so that then is one route, but because of the geoengineering operations, I've investigated the live blood of, for example, grass-fed cows who've never been vaccinated, and it's loaded with these polymers. I've looked at venison of deer blood. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we have plenty of deer. So, and all of the animals' blood is also affected. Wild squirrel we looked at, they all have it. And so when we are then eating these products and these foods, we are getting contaminated also through the gut. And for example, I've done microscopic analysis on dental plaque, and it is loaded with robots. I work with a biological dentist who has absolutely confirmed my findings and who is seeing this because we're eating this food that's contaminated. And so this stuff continues to replicate